Hello dear friends, today's short tutorial is inspired by a private lesson that I gave a few days ago here at my home to one of my intermediate to advanced students. This student had a problem in Bach's Prelude 1008. But see, in the life of a teacher, sometimes we have students that come in with problems that we think are unique to them. But as we give them the solution, we realize this solution is actually more universal than we thought and can be applied to a lot of context. So I want to share that tip with you. And if you're on the beginner level, I want you to use this tip as an inspiration to see what it's like to be in the intermediate to advanced levels and start preparing for those levels by applying this tip to your beginner context. Because this problem happens in all grades, and I know that because I have a beginner's course that goes from prep grade to grade 3, and we encounter this problem all the time, but just disguised a little bit differently. So let's go through the problem, its solution, and then we're going to derive a few lessons that we as beginner or intermediate players can then apply to our context to help us become better ukulele players. Hello dear friends, my name is Mustafa and this is MK Fingerstyle Academy, a channel dedicated to fingerstyle content, whether it's tabs and performance videos or tutorials and tips such as this one. If you find this video useful, please hit the subscribe and like button because it helps me out with the algorithm and make this channel more accessible to a wider range of audience. If you have any tips for making better videos or suggestions for things you want me to cover, then write them down in the comment section. Let me know what you want to learn. Who knows, I might make a tutorial answering just that. So the problem in this passage revolves entirely in the right hand, so I want you to pay close attention to it. It happens in the Bach's Prelude in 1008, where you play this passage. You have an arpeggio on 3 strings, strings 3, 2, and 1, and then you have a melodic note. And the problem here is that the student, when they encountered this problem, they played the arpeggio correctly using free stroke, but then they repeated their ring finger on those melodic notes. And if you count the first note on the first string, that 5th fret, then you actually have 3 notes that are melodic on the first string. And if you're new to MK Fingerstyle Academy, or if you're not in my Ukulele Fingerstyle Basics course, then you wouldn't know that if you repeat your fingers playing melodic notes on the same string, then your melodic notes wouldn't sound legato or connected. They actually sound disconnected. It has this slight bad sound of repeating a finger. So the rule is you want to be able to alternate your right hand fingers as it creates a smoother, more legato sound when you encounter melodic notes. Now the real problem for me here isn't that the student made the mistake, but that the student wasn't able to spot it. And that is because it is in the middle of a very complex context, so it can easily be disguised. But what I want you to be able to see is look at this group of 5 notes. You can see that there's an arpeggio because there are 3 consecutive notes on 3 different strings. You would know that this is an arpeggio, and you can play it with your arpeggio fingers. So for the PIMA people, that's going to be your index, middle, ring, or for the more advanced and more dynamics and flexible people, you can play it with your IMA or thumb, index, middle. Once you get through the arpeggio, you then need to shift or change your mindset from I just gotta follow up the arpeggio and play whatever's next to, oh, I am now playing a melodic passage and I need to engage with my scale techniques. And when you play scales, you're usually alternating your right hand fingers. Right? Whenever you play a scale, you're alternating your right hand fingers. So when you play that passage, you then have a scale sort of passage that comes right after. And I know it's really short, I know it's 2 notes, but you want to sound good at every note you play when you play a piece, right? So then it becomes arpeggio fingers, melodic scale fingers. And remember, I'm talking only about the right hand here. So here you have 2 solutions, either IMA-IM or IMA-MI, okay? The point here isn't that you know the fingerings, the point here is that you're alternating your fingerings and you can make your decision on whatever you like. So the real lesson here is that when you look at a tab, you're flexible enough to shift between your arpeggio techniques and your melodic scale techniques, even if it happens in a short spurt of 5 or 6 notes. So the first lesson is for beginner students. You really got to step out of this PIMA assigning fingers mindset that I see so popular on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. When you look at them, they tell you to play your arpeggios in fingerstyle. You should assign PIMA to strings 4, 3, 2, and 1. What they're not telling you is that that is not really fingerstyle, that is you playing arpeggios of chords. And sure, you can play PIMA if the pattern calls for it, but that is not the same as saying playing fingerstyle is PIMA assigned to strings 4, 3, 2, and 1, because playing fingerstyle is not finger assignment. As I teach it in my Ukulele Fingerstyle Basics course, you can have many different combinations, and when you learn fingerstyle properly, you just learn how to use your fingers and change those contexts as you need to. And again, that happens like from grade 0, so right from the beginning. So if you're used to playing PIMA on strings 4, 3, 2, and 1, I really want you to stop thinking like that and always ask yourself, what is the context of what I'm doing and how can I play it in a better context? So the first lesson was to step out of the PIMA. The second lesson is also for beginners, and that is you need to start working on your right hand finger alternation. And the best way to do that is to go through some scales and work on your IM finger combination because it is the easiest. It is not the only finger combination, but it is the easiest. So that is you playing a scale like D major, and making sure that you're alternating your right hand fingers at all times. Now the third lesson is a lesson for intermediate to advanced students. And I want you to reimagine your strings, not as 4 strings, but as dynamic different sets. The PIMA being played on strings 4, 3, 2, and 1 is one of those sets where you assign your PIMA to 4 consecutive strings. But you can easily have a set that goes PIM on strings 3, 2, and 1, and A is just floating on an imaginary string here. You can also have an imaginary string set of PI, and then M and A are floating around. If you're able to shift between these string sets really quickly, or better yet, play hybrids in between them, then that's when you truly start mastering the intermediate to advanced levels, because then you unlock all the difficult contexts that makes right hand fingerings so difficult for those levels. And again, in my Ukulele Fingerstyle Basics, I introduce string sets and I give you plenty of exercises where you can work on them. But the idea here is that you start reimagining how the 4 strings on the ukulele are grouped together and stop seeing them as a set of consecutive 4 strings, but as a group of dynamic, changeable string sets. This is more fun on the guitar because you have 6 strings, so you have more combinations and they are a little bit more complex. But yeah, you get the point. Alright friends, I hope that this problem with the solution with the 3 lessons that we derived would help you look at your fingerstyle projects with a fresh, different angle when it comes to your right hand context. I really think you would benefit a lot from watching this next video, which talks exclusively on how to play arpeggios in a new, dynamic way and make them more expressive musically. So click here to watch that video. Go on, I know you want to.